The last and only time the Buckeyes and Volunteers faced off against each other was the 1996 Citrus Bowl. And one member of that Ohio State team, the one and only Heisman winner, Eddie George. So, Eddie, just walk us through that game in Florida. What was it like going up against Tennessee's own Peyton Manning?
I remember it being extremely wet. It was a rainy day, a monsoon the night before, all day that day, so it was soaking wet. And I know just leading up to the game, we knew about Peyton Manning. They had a really good defense, they had a really good offense. Jay Graham was their running back, Joey Kent, the receiver, and of course, Peyton Manning was coming off a really solid year. And I just know that coming off of our own loss to Michigan, being ranked number 2 and losing up there in Ann Arbor, we were a little disappointed, that we didn't have a chance to play in the Rose Bowl or in the possible national championship. So we had to really shift gears and stop feeling sorry for ourselves and get our minds ready to play really good Tennessee teams. At the time, I think they were ranked number 4 in the country, and we knew we had to be up for the challenge. So it was, that's kind of what I remember, that we had to be ready because it was going to be a difficult game for us.
And Eddie, going off of that year, like you said, was one of the more disappointing Michigan losses for Ohio State, snapping an 11-0 record and a shot at a national title. This year, a little bit of a similar story, but those national championship hopes still alive. So what added pressure do you maybe think that brings to this one on Saturday?
It is what it is. I think you definitely feel the pressure of that. However disappointing that loss was for Ohio State, against Michigan this year, given the circumstances, everything around it, the expectations going into this year, and having that opportunity to beat that team up north at home was very disappointing. And I understand that. I've lived it. So what they're going to have to do is really shift gears and get their minds around the fact that, hey, one goal was not met, but we still have the rest of the season ahead of us, and it can end off beautifully. But they've got to lock in on this one. This one is personal. It matters. I'm pretty sure that they're hearing all the rhetoric around, they can't beat Michigan. They're not tough. They're not physical. They're this, they're that. And, that weighs on you. I know they're sick of it. So I'm pretty sure that this Ohio State Buckeye team is ready to play somebody this weekend to get that bitter taste out of their mouth. And they got a tough challenge against Tennessee. And they're going to have the mindset to go in there to not think about Michigan. Michigan can't beat them twice. They've got to lock in on the task at hand, take care of business at home, and play their best ball to date, and go out there and get the victory and move on to the next round.
That's absolutely right. And Eddie, that 96 Tennessee defense was strong, and it's a similar story with this year's. What is it going to take for this Buckeye offense to just really break through that defensive front?
Well, they're going to have to establish the line of scrimmage. They didn't do that necessarily against Michigan. They're going to have to have an efficient run game, and the receiver Jeremiah Smith is going to have to get involved, whether that's spitting the ball out to him on the perimeter, they're getting some deep balls to him. He's going to have to be a factor in this game for Ohio State to really move the ball effectively and put points on the board. So establishing the line of scrimmage, and I know the offensive line has been an issue, but I think they've had 2 or 3 weeks to really hone in on what they have to get done, simplify the game plan, and they're going to have to hit the edges, hit them where they're where they can find the weaknesses on their defense, which is not a lot, but they're going to have to take the hard 2, the hard 3. And stick with the run, commit to it. And I believe that'll take a lot of pressure off of Howard and allow him to manage the second down, third down, and to move the ball and move the chains effectively. And defensively, they're going to have their hands full. They got a quarterback that can run. They got some receivers on the outside that can present some problems. But Ohio State should match up pretty well against them. And I think it's going to be a really great game to watch.
Now, Eddie, in 96, even though your team lost to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in a close fourth quarter battle, did that make the loss any easier to swallow for you?
No, anytime you lose, it doesn't make it easier. I mean, we feel like we were just as good. We had some We had a Biletnikoff winner. We had an Outland Trophy winner. I was a Heisman Trophy winner. So we felt like it was evenly matched, and we can go out there and win the ball game. I just know for us, our goals were set so much higher, than just going to a Citrus Bowl. And it was disappointing for us to go to the Citrus Bowl a second year in a row. We wanted to finish it off in the Rose Bowl, play against USC and compete against that team and try to find a way to win that ball game and be in the conversation of winning the national championship. So, to not to diminish the game at all, but it was very deflating for us to go back to that position. And we had to muster up a different type of strength, a different type of focus, especially for the guys that weren't coming back, with myself and Ricky and so forth, and Bobby Hoyne, to go out there and win. So it was very disappointing to end the year off that way. We went out there, we fought hard, we just fell short, didn't make the necessary plays to win. And that was it.
Yeah, and Eddie, as a Heisman running back yourself, when you watch this Buckeye offense and the running back duo of Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, do you ever just wish you could suit up again? I mean, especially against Tennessee this weekend, get some redemption out there?
Well, listen, me trying to suit up again, I don't have dreams of that. I would love to see those guys have a day, though. Quinshon and Travion Henderson, I would love for them to really have opportunities to get downhill, pose their will, take the hard, tough yards. I think for Ohio State to go on a championship run, they're going to have to run the ball effectively. I think they're going to have to, average somewhere between 150 to 200 yards a game if they're planning on winning a championship. And I think that's where the balance comes in. I think they have the firepower to do it. They certainly have the backs. They have the receivers, the offensive line, to get it done. So it's just a matter of getting those opportunities. And when they present itself, they've got to execute. So I'm excited to watch these kids run, the running back duo do their thing. And I'm just curious to see the attitude that Ohio State comes out of that tunnel with, because if they're not coming out of the tunnel with smoke coming out the nostrils, feeling some type of way about how everything went down with something to prove, that feeling like got a big chip on their shoulder and they got a right to wrong, here in the next 3 weeks.
And last question for you, Eddie. Before we go, I got to get your take. How do you see this one shaking out on Saturday?
Well, I think it's going to be a close game. I think they're evenly matched. I like Ohio State to come out on top with the victory. I think they can come out, again, establish the line of scrimmage on both sides, really establish the run game, get that going, and get on top of these guys. This is a game where, if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, that's a game where Tennessee probably can win it. But I'm hoping Ohio State can pull it out and, get it hit by a couple touchdowns, get their confidence up, get the momentum back. We're definitely going to need Ohio Stadium rocking with our fans. Because listen, I live in Tennessee. I live in Nashville, okay? And all I'm hearing about is the 96 year. All I'm hearing about is how this is Neyland Stadium North, that Tennessee is going to take over Ohio Stadium. I mean, if I'm Ohio State and a Buckeye fan, I take that personally. That's personal. So, I expect our fans to show up, be loud, be raucous, be a major factor in the game this weekend. So when they're on offense, be loud as hell, be very disruptive, and make it very uncomfortable for them to play in our stadium. All right, that's what my expectations are. I will be there. I will be in the house as a Rabbit fan this week, and I'm taking off my Tennessee State hat as a coach. I put my Buckeye hat on, and we are going to get this victory. Yes, I feel some type of way about this because I have to live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I don't want to hear about that. Well, they beat. No, we're not dealing with that this weekend. So yes, I'm excited about this one. I'm pumped up.
Well, Buckeye fans, you just heard him. That's why Eddie George is one of the best to ever do it. I'm juiced. I'm ready to get in the game. Eddie, you just pump me up. I'm ready to go.
Hey, let's go. Let's get it done. Go Bucks, baby. Let's get it done.
But like he said, you're going to be at the shoe on Saturday, right?
Yes, I'll be there. My son and I were driving up, 3 hours, 4 hours, however long it takes to get up there. And we're there to witness a great game.
Awesome. Well, Eddie, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time, and I will see you at the shoe on Saturday.